This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
It's the Noon Report from Family Life, bringing a Christian worldview to what's happening in New York, Pennsylvania, across the country, and around the world. Weather with Kevin Williams, and faith-focused feature stories with the Family Life News team. Now, here's what's happening.
Good afternoon and welcome to the broadcast. I'm Family Life News anchor Sarah Harnish. High stakes deadline. President Trump has given Iran until 8 p.m. tonight to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. If they don't,
every bridge in Iran will be decimated. Every power plant in Iran will be burning, exploding, and never to be used again. I mean, complete demolition. And it'll happen over a period of 4 hours.
The IRGC responded by telling its citizens to form human chains around the power plants so they won't be bombed. Dr. Rebecca Grant is a national security and military analyst.
President Trump has to use the strongest possible language. Iran's leadership is still so smug and unrelenting.
She says there's no doubt the American military can pull it off.
We are all in, and we'll do whatever we can to try to end up with a new day for Iran. But this is the frustration. The IRGC's hold on that country is so brutal and so powerful.
On Monday, Iran rejected the ceasefire. The Artemis II crew is on its way home from the moon. On Monday, they made history, reaching a distance of 252,000 miles from the Earth. Astronaut Christina Koch's parting words from the moon included the promise that future flights will build on what Artemis II has done.
We will construct science outposts. We will drive rovers. We will do radio astronomy. We will found companies. We will bolster industry. We will inspire.
The crew of 4 is coming home with thousands of photographs of never-before-seen areas of the moon. They got a congratulatory call from the president, and Cook told him this.
I think one of the biggest highlights was coming back from the far side of the moon and having the first glimpses of planet Earth again.
CBS's Mark Strassman is at the Johnson Space Center in Houston.
They're going to do some manual flying. They're going to do some more testing, and then basically they're heading home for a splashdown off the coast of San Diego. I think they're probably looking forward to putting down the camera. I mean, most of this lunar flyby has been taking pictures, 10,000 pictures.
It's runoff day in Georgia. WSB's Jonathan O'Brien.
Since January, Georgia's 14th district has been without representation in Congress following the resignation of Marjorie Taylor Greene. Now, voters will have the final say on her replacement. Republican Clay Fuller bested his 11 Republican opponents in the March election with the help of President Trump's endorsement, and he's hoping that momentum will carry him to victory tonight. But Democrat Sean Harris won the most votes in the March election. A strong showing in the deeply red district could buoy Democratic hopes for November.
In Budapest, Hungary, fanfare for Vice President Vance and his wife Usha as they stepped off the plane in the Hungarian capital today to meet with Prime Minister Viktor Orban ahead of Sunday's parliamentary elections. Before they left, Vance explained,
"Look forward to seeing my good friend Viktor, and we'll talk about any number of things related to the U.S.-Hungary relationship."
Orban is facing the most serious challenge to his 16-year rule. A couple of Democratic Congress members have gone to Cuba. Jonathan Jackson and Pramila Jayapal met with President Diaz-Canel, visiting hospitals and speaking with religious leaders.
There are a number of things that I think indicate that the moment is here for us to have a real negotiation between our two countries and to reverse failed U.S. policy of decades.
Both Cuban and U.S. officials have acknowledged talks after President Trump imposed an oil blockade on the island. J.P. Morgan Chase is warning of a mass exodus of the wealthy out of New York City. In a letter to shareholders Monday, the CEO said Mayor Zohran Mamdani wants to triple the state's top estate tax rate, raising it from 16% to 50%. Cheryl Casoni is a Fox Business host. She was asked this.
Do they not understand math? that when everybody flees the city, you will not have the money. How many more people need to make that point before it gets through?
Well, so Governor Hochul herself, of course, is up for election this November, and she has said that she's not going to sign off on all of this. She doesn't want to see wealthy people leave. Of course, 2 years ago, she was saying, I don't care, you can just leave, you go right ahead. Well, she's changed her tune because they have been leaving.
The comptroller of the city, Mark Levin, says New York City will likely have a $12 billion shortfall. March Madness comes to an end, and Michigan was the last team standing. The Wolverines winning their first national championship since 1989 with a dominant victory over UConn, 69-63.
And it's over! Hail to the champions! Hail to Michigan! For the first time in 37 years, the Wolverines win the national title.
Coach Dusty May.
You bring a group this talented together, and they decide from the beginning that they're going to do it this way, and they never waver and they never change. That's probably the most uncommon thing in athletics now.
Now to Florida, a woman whisked a boy away who ran into a field during an Easter egg drop. It wasn't just any egg drop, though. They were using a crane to drop hundreds of plastic eggs, and he was seconds away from being directly underneath it. Yeah, that would have hurt. Video shows the young child running early into the center of a field before the crowd was released. A woman saves him, rushing in and hauling him out of the way, narrowly avoiding the avalanche of eggs. And faith before free throws. Fox News today featured a Brigham Young basketball star who went viral for saying her team skips Sunday practice every week so they can go to church.
It's also a time where, we just get to refocus and remember the things that are bigger than basketball.
Guard Delaney Gibb was asked about it from a reporter at a press conference.
A question was asked, and obviously I just wanted to give my opinion and thoughts, and it's cool because it's something that I truly believe, and it's something that's super special to me as well as our team.
Gibb isn't the only one. The entire team, inspired by the coach, sits every Sunday out.
I am able to represent something greater than myself, my Savior Jesus Christ, and being able to take Sundays off and use it as a day of worship and a day of just to recenter and refocus my life on Christ is super special.
Still to come on the Noon Report, suspending the gas tax in New York, Batcave press conference, and the pet food camera that saved a family home. But weather first with Kevin Williams.
Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Williams, feeling a little bit more like winter today, but some warmer days are on the way. I'll have forecast details coming up in 10 minutes.
Thank you, Kevin. Checking the stories and making news where you live in New York and Pennsylvania. 4 prison workers are out of the hospital after being exposed to an undetermined substance at Mohawk Correctional Facility in Rome, New York. 1 remains in ICU. Family Life's Mark Webster has the story.
Yeah, on Easter Sunday, staff were checking in a visitor to Mohawk. Police say she had an envelope soaked with some substance. 2 National Guard members and 3 corrections officers began vomiting and having difficulty breathing. 4 are out of the hospital, but 1 woman remains in critical condition, sedated and intubated in intensive care. Her union writes, quote, "This is the brutal daily reality for our members as they risk everything to keep contraband out of our prisons. Smuggling techniques are getting more sophisticated by the day." The substance has been sent to a lab for testing. 53-year-old Chandria Taylor of Syracuse has been charged. State Senator Joe Griffo of Oneida County is calling on the state to pause visitations at local state prisons until more is known about the case. Mark Webster, Family Life News.
A group of senators are calling on Governor Kathy Hochul to issue a gas tax holiday in response to rising gas prices. State Senator Jeremy Zellner spoke with WBEN.
We've been working every day to try to bring down costs, and now that we have Trump's war of choice jacking up gas prices and we have no end in sight or a plan that we can see, we have to do something to at least temporarily take those gas prices down as best we can.
When pressed by the station to explain how much you may save at the pump, the Democrat had no answer.
How much of a gas tax holiday mean for drivers here in Western New York?
Well, if we can get it in place, I think it's something that we need to look at least for the next few months. I think as people are paying more for everything else in life, at least we can give them a break here by doing something like this.
How much of a savings could we be talking about?
We haven't worked the numbers of how much total savings we could have.
Taxes on gas in New York are about 23 to 26 cents a gallon. A gallon of gas is averaging $4.05 in the Empire State today and $4.15 a gallon in Pennsylvania. Still no deal. Lawmakers are set to return to Albany to vote on another state budget extender today. It would ensure the state can cover essential expenses and payroll. Governor Hochul and state legislative leaders continue negotiations. Hochul told reporters Monday she's still deciding how long a second state budget extender should be as lawmakers remain out of town for holiday break. But she was factoring in the remaining days of Passover into the decision. The budget was due April 1st. Today marks a week since a powerful storm came through that left hundreds of towns across upstate New York with flooding. Water levels remain dangerously high at Oneida Lake, northeast of Syracuse. Vincent Tricase lives on the lake and spoke with WSYR.
It's been like this for about 3 or 4 days now, and it's never been this bad. I mean, it fluctuates every year a little bit, up and down, but this is amazing.
Many docks are underwater. A pet food camera saved a family's home yesterday in Alden, New York. The Millgrove Fire Department says the camera, attached to a pet dish, started sending images of the blaze to the family's cell phones when no one was home. Fire Chief Bob Alexo told WGRZ something hit the burner button on the stove, causing it to turn on, and a nearby box caught fire.
Yesterday, they bought a pet feeder with a camera on it, and it alerted them. They actually saw the fire on their camera and alerted us before the fire got real bad.
Thankfully, the flames did not spread out of the kitchen because of that camera.
They caught it really early. Thank God for that pet camera. It was minutes away from being really bad.
There was about $10,000 worth of damage, but the house still stands because of a camera on a pet bowl in Alden, New York. A new bill in the Pennsylvania State House looks to tighten cyber charter regulations in the state by preventing districts from footing the bill for students to attend cyber schools outside their districts. Democrat Nikki Rivera proposed House Bill 2358, saying districts shouldn't have to pay if they're already offering an in-house cyber program kids living there can attend. And it was a press conference from a bat cave in Pennsylvania.
We're all in. All right. Woohoo, we did it.
We made it.
My name is Corey Ekman, and I have had the privilege of serving as the first park manager here at Laurel Caverns State Park.
Pennsylvania launched its 125th state park on Monday, the state's first subterranean state park, Laurel Caverns, 68 miles southeast of Pittsburgh. It's a cave system with more than 4 miles of underground trails. Monday's launch was held deep down in the cave system, about 474 feet below the surface of the earth. Governor Josh Shapiro on hand.
I love getting outside. I love visiting our state parks. I am the first governor to camp in one of our state parks. And we did that 2 years ago when our family loaded into an RV and traversed all across Pennsylvania to try and show off all of our amazing places for outdoor recreation.
Yeah, no underground camping on Monday, but Shapiro did have this to say about what Pennsylvania state parks do for him.
It's a ton of fun, and I want all Pennsylvanians, all families to be able to experience that. I think getting outside, getting into one of our state parks, it also has positive benefits in other ways. I think it literally brings down your blood pressure. It just naturally helps people heal.
It is a literal bat cave. Public tours begin for the cavern on Earth Day, April 22nd, because some bats use the cave for winter hibernation. The labyrinth of Laurel Caverns now preserved for future generations as a Pennsylvania state park. Sports are on deck next with our own Randy Snavely.
Good afternoon, I'm Randy Snavely. Sarah, the Buffalo Sabres move back into a tie for first place in the Atlantic Division after doubling up the Lightning 4-2. Jason Zucker tapped in the go-ahead goal in the second period, then Jack Quinn scored an empty netter to seal the deal. Only 3 other games were played on the ice, with the Jets, Sharks, and Kings skating to wins. In the NBA, the Knicks outlasted the Hawks in Atlanta 108-105. Jalen Brunson scored 30 to lead New York. He also dished out 13 assists to help the Knicks win their third straight. Stephon Castle filled up the stat line with a triple-double. He had 19 points, 13 assists, and 10 rebounds to help San Antonio to its 12th win in their last 13 games, 115-102 over the 76ers. Joel Embiid had a game-high 34 points for Philly. Elsewhere, the Magic beat the Pistons 123-107. Cleveland won a high-scoring affair over Memphis 142-126. The Nuggets overtime winners against Portland 137-132. On the diamond, the Phillies came back with 6 unanswered runs to knock off the Giants 6-4. Bryce Harper went 3 for 4 and drove in 3. Pittsburgh got shut out by the Padres 5-0. Other winners, the Royals, Orioles, Twins, Rangers, Reds, Nationals, Rays, Brewers, Dodgers, Rockies, and Angels. The New York Mets will be without star outfielder Juan Soto for the next 2 to 3 weeks. He's on the injured list with the calf strain. And finally this, the Michigan Wolverines are your March Madness champions. They defeated UConn 69-63 to win their first NCAA men's basketball title since 1989. Elliot Cadeau scored 19 points to lead Michigan. He was the most outstanding player of the game. That is a look at sports.
All right, Randy, still to come on the Noon Report, the world watches Iran, the Nazi salute at the NHL, and what color is the dark side of the moon? Those stories next.
Welcome to Breakpoint, a daily look at an ever-changing culture through the lens of unchanging truth. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet. On April the 7th, 2007, Holy Saturday that year, cartoonist Johnny Hart died of a stroke while working at his drawing table. Hart was the award-winning creator of 2 popular comic strips, The Wizard of Iz and BC, which at one time reached 100 million readers worldwide every single day. In a 1999 Breakpoint commentary, Chuck Colson identified Hart as the most widely read Christian of our time, with more readers than C.S. Lewis, Frank Peretti, and Billy Graham combined. He wasn't wrong. Raised in a moderately religious home, Hart's faith became more serious around 1984 when a born-again father-son team had installed a satellite dish in his home. Not long after that, his Christianity became more and more evident in his comic strips. According to Hart, and I quote, "It started out like when Christmas would roll around. If a holiday comes up, I do something about the holiday. I've been doing that for the life of the strip," he said. Well, in my view, Hart was always at his very best around Easter time. His most controversial strip was published on Easter of 2001. It featured a Jewish menorah. As the panels of the strip progressed, the 7 candles burn out, each one captioned with one of the 7 last words of Jesus from the cross. After the final candle is extinguished, captioned with Jesus' words, "It is finished," the arms of the menorah break off and leave there just a cross. The final panel portrays a trail of blood from the cross to the empty tomb, with the stone rolled away, revealing the Lord's table arranged inside. Now, at the time, Hart was accused of being anti-Semitic and of suggesting a form of replacement theology, the idea that Christianity supplants Judaism. Hart clarified later that he was only attempting to demonstrate the Jewish roots of Christianity out of respect for both religions. And of course, according to the Gospels, Jesus claimed to have completed the requirements of Old Testament law. And according to the author of Hebrews, several Jewish traditions, symbols, and essentials are fulfilled in Christ Jesus. Another of Hart's Easter comic strips featured a cross with a note "To be continued" attached. And another one, a caveman asks a couple of friends, "Would you lay down your life for someone else?" "Well, that would be pretty stupid," replies one. "Yeah, why would we do that?" says the other. "You mean like would we die in their place? Nobody has that much love," says the first. And then the second one adds, "And if anyone did, I'd sure hate to lose him." Holding a cross, then a fourth caveman enters the final scene and says, "Well, guys, I've got good news and good news." In one of his lighter Easter comics, a caveman tells a salesman, "I am in the market for a burial site. What have you got in a tomb?" The salesman replies, "I believe we're sold out, but let me check." "Oh, you're not going to believe this. We just had an opening." Now, outside of his comic strip, Johnny Hart explored and embraced certain theological views that I certainly could not agree with. However, he stayed within the bounds of orthodoxy in print, and he covered an incredible amount of theological ground in the process. From the creation of the world to the deity of Christ, the centrality of the cross in history, the forgiveness of sin, substitutionary atonement, all of that in a comic strip. As Chuck Holson wrote way back in 1999, quote, Johnny Hart can be an inspiration to all of us to find ways to bring a Christian worldview to bear on our work, whatever it may be. Healthy humor is one of God's good gifts to us, and even writing comic strips can be done to his glory, end quote. Indeed, every single aspect of our redeemed lives are to bring glory to God. And that's because of the work of Christ, which for quite a while in American history was described so well over and over and over again in the Sunday funny papers. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet with Breakpoint.
Good afternoon. Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast for this afternoon. Blustery and cold with clouds, sunshine, a couple of scattered flurries and snow showers still around, especially across parts of central New York. High temps 30s and low 40s. We clear out tonight and cold. Low temps dropping towards 20. Abundant sunshine turning mild tomorrow, the high around 50, and partly sunny warmer on Thursday, the high then for most of us getting into the 60s.
Thank you, Kevin. This is the Noon Report on Family Life. I'm Sarah Harnish, and thanks again for joining us. We are hours away from President Trump's latest deadline for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz.
8 o'clock Eastern Time, and after that, they're going to have no bridges, they're going to have no power plants. Stone Ages, yeah.
CBS's Nancy Cordes is at the White House.
President Trump has walked back from threats like this before, but so far he is not walking back from this one, a vow to wreak havoc in Iran if there's no deal by tonight.
The IRGC in Iran called on its young people to make human shields around each power plant at 8 p.m. Eastern. Trump was asked if taking out the power is a war crime. He argued the Iranian people want him to do it.
They want us to keep bombing.
Trump says the Iranians have been crystal clear with him.
The Iranians have, and we've had numerous intercepts. Please keep bombing.
There was a clash outside the Israeli consulate in Istanbul today. Turkish authorities say one gunman was killed and 2 wounded. The Artemis II mission is heading back to Earth after a successful mission around the moon. For 40 minutes, they had no contact with the Earth yesterday as they went farther than any human had ever gone before. President Trump asked the astronauts about it.
What was your feeling when you had no communication? A little bit different, perhaps.
I said a little prayer, but then I had to keep rolling. I was actually recording scientific observations of the far side of the moon. We were busy up here working really hard, and I must say it was actually quite nice.
So what does the dark side of the moon look like? Well, we now have thousands of photos. Astronaut Jose Hernandez was not on board, but he has seen the images. He was interviewed by Fox News.
The astronaut said it looked brown with greenish hues. Jose, what could that mean?
That's correct. What happens is you've got the Earth's shine hitting the planet and light bouncing out and creating these interesting hues.
Artemis II now on the way home. And the NHL Dallas Stars have banned a fan who celebrated a goal with a Nazi salute. CBS's Michael Wallace.
While most fans pumped their fists to the Stars' goal song, 4 young men repeatedly gave a Nazi salute. The team says it tracked down the fan who bought the group's tickets and has banned him from the arena indefinitely. The Stars say any discriminatory or hateful behavior will not be tolerated in their arena. The team is also increasing its in-arena messaging about its fan code of conduct.
You're listening to the Noon Report on Family Life.
Using the power of the pen in a world of electronic communication. Welcome back to another edition of Hometown Heroes on Family Life. I'm Mark Webster. April is National Card and Letter Writing Month, and this week's guest is no stranger to that lost art. Tammy Dunmeyer, wife of Pastor Steve Dunmeyer at Victory Highway Wesleyan Church in Painted Post, New York, has been handwriting cards and letters most of her life, but says it began to take the form of a ministry a decade ago. Take me back to when this began for you. It was born of a serious illness.
Yeah, so in 2016, I had major surgery, and as a result, I received a lot of get well cards, as people often do, and I decided to take it upon myself to write back to everybody that had sent me get well notes or had done meal trains for our family as thank you notes. And as that pile dwindled away, I was really just struggling with how the Lord could use me in that season of my recovery. And I just prayed a very simple prayer, asking the Lord to show me ways that I could be his hands and feet during my recovery period. And as a result, the Lord had given me a few names, people that I could encourage for my bedroom walls, and sent them notes. And when they responded about how the Holy Spirit had used my cards that arrived just at the right time, my personal ministry was born. I realized that the Lord could use this in a very powerful way. And so I just fell in love with writing cards, and I wrote as many as I possibly could during that recovery year for myself.
Right. And so this then morphed into something even bigger, like an actual formal ministry at church.
Yeah, so I shared with a few friends about what I was doing, and I found that, of course, there were other people like me who enjoyed writing cards, but never really thought about it as a ministry opportunity. And so I started a card ministry at my church, and we used it as an opportunity to reach within our church congregation, but also within our community, to come alongside people and to be praying for them and to thank and appreciate the ways that they were serving.
Mm-hmm. So you did that at your former church, and now you're doing that at Victory. And give us a sense of this. You and a team of folks, I guess, are writing a whole lot of cards.
Yeah. So I've continued my personal ministry, but our card ministry group sends out about 150 or so cards as a group every month for various different projects that we've taken on, whether it be assisted living places or nursing homes, to our local firemen, paramedics, and police officers. We've written to schools to just love and appreciate our teachers who are serving our community faithfully, to our local businesses, any way that we can possibly reach into our community and to thank them for the ways that they're serving. Our church has been trying to come alongside of them and to just love on them for what they're doing and to show them the love of Jesus through pen and paper.
Yeah, the power of the pen, somebody once said, and this is a little different take on that theme. It's got to be really gratifying for folks to get that sort of personalized letter from you, and I imagine you're getting some pretty cool feedback.
Yeah, it's been really neat to hear the stories. You know, we live in a world where we don't really get much personalized mail anymore, and people have really just given feedback on our notes. Always seem to come right at the time where they were really struggling, and how the Holy Spirit just used that in a way to encourage them. It's been really special to hear about how many people had kept the cards and have gone back to those over and over again when they were really feeling discouraged. It was neat to see some of the local businesses had pasted them up in their windows, that they just really appreciated the prayer and support they were getting. So it's been really cool to hear how God has used that and opened up doors in our community in ways that we never saw possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you shared with me earlier that writing has been something that's been with you almost your whole life, going back to a childhood pen pal.
I do. I still keep in contact with my childhood pen pal. She and I will write back and forth, and have met at camp when we were about 12 years old, and still keep in touch to this day through letters. And it's such a joy to be able to still do that.
Yeah, you reminded me. I had forgotten about this. I had a pen pal briefly as a kid. It was a girl in Japan. And I remember a few times being very excited, going to the mailbox and seeing that those old airmail envelopes, and getting that letter. It was really something special.
Yeah, there's nothing greater than opening that mailbox and finding something personal inside for you.
How is this, as you've continued to stay with this unique ministry, how has it impacted you as you've continued to do this?
Like I said, it became a personal ministry to me. I have really just loved journaling about the ways that the Lord has used it. It never ceases to amaze me the way that the Lord wastes nothing, and just the simple ways that, as I pray over the cards that I'm writing, how they always seem to come right at the right time. It's become actually a part of my discipline when I'm doing my morning devotions, and a big part of my prayer life, that I really enjoy writing out my prayers to people. We often say we're going to pray for somebody as a believer, but then we don't always follow through with that. And so for me, the discipline is actually writing out my prayer to that individual and sticking it in the mail so I don't forget, or writing myself a note, in a couple weeks to continue to pray for that person and to write out my prayer again and pray over them and send it. So it's a way also for me to make sure I'm doing what I'm saying I'm doing when I'm offering to pray for somebody.
Mm-hmm. I guess final question, if somebody is hearing this and thinking, that's an interesting idea, what would you say to them to maybe encourage them to maybe come up with their own letter or note writing ministry of their own?
So I would just challenge them to come up with, 5 people in your circle of influence that have made an impact to you. Write a thank you note to them. That's a really easy one to start with, and watch what the Holy Spirit does with it. And make yourself a note and just watch what the Lord can do by doing something as simple as that. It's very rewarding to see the way that the Lord can use you in that way. And like I said, it can open doors for you that you never expected.
I'm thinking back also to childhood when, like say you'd have a birthday or something and your mom would insist that you write some thank you notes. I guess mom knew what she was talking about there.
Yes. She had no idea what she was unleashing, and I'm so thankful. I hope that everybody will just take the opportunity to try it and see what the Lord can do through you.
That's Tammy Dunmeyer, who has both a personal and church letter writing ministry at Victory Highway Wesleyan Church in Painted Post, New York. April is National Card and Letter Writing Month. Please join us again next time as we search for your home, your town, your hero. It's Hometown Heroes on Family Life.
Hometown Heroes airs Tuesdays during the noon report or online anytime at Apple iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, or at familylife.org. Just ahead, the astronaut that honored his late wife from outer space yesterday. That story after a final look at weather.
Good afternoon. Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. A couple of scattered flurries and snow showers still around, especially across parts of central New York. High temps 30s and low 40s. We clear out tonight and cold. Low temps dropping toward 20. Abundant sunshine turning milder tomorrow, the high around 50. And partly sunny, warmer on Thursday, the high then, for most of us, getting into the 60s.
All right, we'll take it. Thank you, Kevin. Finally, at noon, the 4-man crew of Artemis II shared an emotional moment yesterday. Mission Commander Reed Weissman was given a few seconds to name a bright crater on the moon after his late wife, Carol.
We lost a loved one. Her name was Carol, the mother of Katie and Ellie.
Carol died of breast cancer in 2020, leaving 2 daughters behind, Ellie and Catherine. She was a pediatric nurse practitioner and just 46 years old. The commander of Artemis II getting choked up as he spoke with Mission Control and named that crater after his beautiful wife.
And if you want to find this one, you look at Glushko, and it's just to the northwest of that, at the same latitude as Ohm, and it's a bright spot on the moon. And we would like to call it Carol, and you spell that C-A-R-R-O-L-L.
One by one, the other 3 astronauts came around him, and they had a group hug as Reed Weissman wept in space. The love of a man for his wife after he promised her not to let his dream go of getting to the moon. And that's the world that we live in for Tuesday, the 7th of April. I'm Sarah Harnish, and this is Family Life News.
You've been listening to the Noon Report, heard weekdays on Family Life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.